All right. First question, Piercy. What was the first football kit you owned?
First football kit I had was a Queen's Park Rangers kit. I was born probably about half a mile from QPR's ground, and the family supported QPR. The only downside of that was I bought it, and after about maybe 6 or 7 months, I realised it wasn't actually a QPR kit, it was a Reading kit. And there's a subtle difference between the two, believe it or not.
True, they are same colour, aren't they? Pretty much same design. Right, next. Best player you have played against?
The most difficult I played against was a West Ham player called Mark Ward. Now, he wasn't the best player I played against, but he caused me more problems. And sometimes as a fullback, it's someone who's got personal traits that cause you a problem. He's low centre of gravity. He was quite tough as well, come from a non-league background like myself. And him playing for West Ham was high class as my toughest opponent.
What is the best piece of advice you've received during your time in football?
Brian Clough told me once, if you don't get better in the second half, I'll put you back in non-league. That sharpened my focus a touch, so I'd probably say that.
And pretty much saying, what is the best piece of advice you've given?
I think probably working with young players, it's to be as good as you possibly can be, and don't for any moment at any given time during your career think that you've arrived and you're the finished article. You have to keep perpetually learning, and I think that would be the part of advice I'd give anybody.
Just, you always want to improve as a player, and when you got coaches with experience that we've got here, they pick up on the things you need to improve on, because it's good being told how good your left foot is or whatever. It's the things that your right foot needs improving on, or crossing, or different types of finishing that myself and Piercy have been working on. So it's good to have that experienced head to help you along the way, and they want the best for you and I want the best for myself, so it's a win-win for everyone in the situation, I think.
I find with this group of players there's a real acceptance to want to probe on how they can get better, both collectively and individually, and that's added to the spirit we have at the camp that's made us probably get results on occasion. We don't maybe deserve getting results, but it's the togetherness and the wanting and the will to learn is really strong here.
This is the question I was looking forward to. Who has a better left foot, you or me?
Me by a million miles. The one thing I would cede on you, Jarrod, is your right foot is by far better than mine, because mine is a wooden stump, to be fair, the right foot. At the age of 23, your left foot is by far better than mine at the age of 23. I think by the time I got into my late 20s, early 30s, I'd honed the skills of how to use the outside of my left foot really well to compensate. I hope your left foot will be by far better than mine. If it is, we'll be successful.
Well, we'll get this question again in 5-7 years' time, see where we're at. What are your memories of playing at Wembley?
I was brought up in and around the Wembley area, so I worked at Wembley as a porter when I was still at school. As a 14, 15-year-old, I used to go to the ground racing on a Friday night when my friends were down the local pub, because I was a non-league player and couldn't drink in pubs, so I used to go to the Greyhounds. For me, probably captaining England was the biggest memory I've had there. I've also played there in Euro 96, which was an incredible tournament for this country, but I think first England international was Brazil at Wembley, 100,000 people, and when that's your first cap, I've had some really fortunate memories of Wembley. So it's been a happy hunting ground over the years, to be fair.
And what are the biggest highlights of your playing career?
If I was to pick one, I would say playing for England. I think we're in a collective team game, which is really important to me, to be a team player. But the one thing that you can achieve individually is to get capped internationally, and on top of that, to captain your country, I think is a big thing. And that depends on how much you value playing for your country. I value it very highly.
Did you have a favourite game, like one specific game, or was it just every time you put on the shirt, it was a massive honour, but was there one game?
I think if you're asked to captain your country is a big one, to walk out at the head of your country at Wembley. I think France was my first game as captain. But I would say we played against the Dutch and won 4-1 in Euro 96, which was probably the best performance over a 12-year international career. The best performance collectively as a team was on that day, and the magnitude of it at Wembley in a major tournament was big.
How did you find the transition from playing to coaching?
I was really concerned at the back end of my career that I would worry about, when I was in my late 20s and early 30s, I never wanted to go into coaching. And then all of a sudden, at Newcastle as a player, as a 37-year-old player playing for Newcastle, Ruud Gullit was the manager, I was older than him. Steve Clarke was the coach, I was older than him. The club doctor, I was older than him, and the physio, I was older than him as well. So I broke some form of record when I was a player, I'm sure. And at the back end of me, in my late 30s, I decided then I wanted to go into coaching. I was fortunate enough, I finished at the age of 40 as a player, and the next day stayed on the coaching staff. I was really worried about that transition from player to coach, or player and nothing. But luckily I went straight on the coaching staff at Manchester City, and from there just solely concentrated on that and didn't really think about playing anymore.
Who strikes a ball harder, you or Julian Dix?
Dixie, by a million miles, you know. I had a bit more culture than him, but he was a harder striker.
You played alongside Di Canio, another West Ham legend. Who in our current squad reminds you most of him?
I think we've got differing types to Di Canio, definitely. I mean, he was a real one-off. The big plus he gave me, when I come to West Ham, I always wanted to go in the opposite team to Di Canio because his feet were so quick and manipulating the ball. For me, it was a brilliant test every day. It was almost like self-coaching yourself and testing yourself, even at at the age I was at the time, 37, 38 years old, whatever it was. His feet were so quick, so I had the perfect opportunity to test myself against good players. I think in here, the quality that we've got here, what I like to see, and when we get youngsters like Jamal come and Hadji come and join us, to put them up against the likes of yourself, and it tests them. So you're testing each other really, but we got varying different qualities in our squad. I don't think there's anyone like Di Canio, to be fair. He's semi-unique.
Right, we're on to the quick fire questions now. So there's 4 here. First one, favourite holiday destination?
Really difficult one. I've been to a place where not many people have been, North Korea. Fantastic, really good, really different, totally different. I like going to places that is off the beaten track slightly, you know, whether it be climbing Kilimanjaro, Machu Picchu, North Korea. Probably North Korea was really diverse.
Favourite TV series of all time?
Only Fools and Horses, probably.
That's a good shout. Favourite sport outside of football?
Rugby league. I'm a big Warrington Wolves fan. I go and watch Warrington whenever I can. Super League starting. I think our first game is Castleford away on the 25th of March. And I'll try and get to as many games as I possibly can.
I think we spoke about that before, haven't we? Your rugby league, and back home where I'm from, it's
Union.
Rugby Union, yeah, so it's a bit different. Last one, favourite thing to do on a day off?
I like to travel, to be fair. So if we were off for a day, I'd like to go somewhere. Live music's a big part of my life. Last year and the year before, I'll go to a gig a week, so wherever that may be. So I'm happy to get in my car, and if my partner, like Carol, likes the bands I see, all well and good. If she don't, and it's a little too heavy for her, I'll go on my own. Even if it's a case of jumping in the car and going an hour and a half to see a gig, I'm happy to do so.
Nice. Right, Pearcey, that's all the questions covered.
That's one of the best question masters I've ever had. Very
good questions
concise.
there, good questions.
Thank you.